What a good chunk of money on the Wild.
Oh, good.
I mean,
All
hey,
right.
I'm just playing with house money after Saturday, so
Fair. Right.
yes, sir.
Three, two. Hello, D-Gens. Welcome to Degenerate Takes. I, of course, am the Brofict one, AJ. Joining me, as always, man with the number, sportsbook whisperer, college basketball guru, daddy of the diamond, all hail the king of the links, the money train, Noah. Um, hmm. Are you doing okay? Like, are you doing okay? Like, are you okay?
Yeah, man, I'm fine. Because guess what? Less than an hour from now, we got the number one team in the country, our Arizona Wildcats, playing a basketball game.
That's true. Number one in the country, bear down, go Cats for the second week in a row now.
And you know the annoying thing? Actually, two annoying things. I'll start out with I was like, oh, cool, okay. Yeah, I'd love to bet on Arizona tonight. And I was like, 35 and a half point spread. I'm like, well, we're beating ranked teams by good amounts, playing Tarleton State, who's not terrible. And then I'm like, God, I don't know if I want to lay fucking 35 because we've kind of been beating all these other mid major teams by about the same margins that we beat like Auburn by.
Yeah.
And I think we just, hey, 1-0 Wild, let's go. Tarasenko putting us on the board early. Um, I kind of got scared off of it, but then I'm like, you know what? Because I feel like we're going to win by like 32, not cover the spread, because that just feels like what's going to happen. But then I saw the over under was at 148, and I said, all right, I'm going to just take the over because I think we'll score 90 something. And if we give up 60, that over hits easy. So we'll see what happens there. Second annoying thing, the most annoying thing is all these fucking Michigan fans bitching and moaning in the comments of every social media platform, everything with all the rankings, complaining that they're underranked and there's no way they shouldn't be the number one team. And I'm like, y'all watching the damn games? I mean,
I don't think they are.
we're blowing breaks off of people just as much as Michigan is, and we've played more ranked teams.
Yes. At the end of the day, we have played more ranked teams and we've played them better than Michigan has played ranked teams. And don't
And
get me wrong, it's
and
always impressive.
Check's notes beat Alabama at Alabama by more than Michigan won at Maryland on the
Oh,
same day.
weird.
Yet Michigan
Weird.
fans still saying they should be number one, and it was
Well,
the
they
amount of
lost
receipts on social media that I saw were really funny with people chiming in, making videos, putting out posts right around halftime saying, "Oh, how is this the number one team in the country? They're losing at half," and didn't matter because we won by fucking 21. So shut the hell up,
Yeah,
dude.
and I mean, if I'm a Michigan fan, like I get it. Like I'm grasping at straws. Like I'm trying to find anything to distract me from the whole Sharon Moore situation and the football program being on fire and the AD now being under investigation
I've
and
never
everything.
seen a group of people so butthurt about being ranked number two in the country behind
No, they
behind an
be,
undefeated team who's been playing just as good, if not better than them.
because it's all marketing, bro. You know, you Google Michigan right now, the first thing that pops up is Sharon Moore and that whole situation and everything like that. And so all they're trying to do is, like, hey, let's remember how great Michigan is at other stuff that's not football, losing to Ohio State and all of the inappropriate stuff that's happened under this AD
Yeah.
and everything like that. Let's go ahead and hey, we should be number one. Damn it, we should be number one. Don't look over there. No, we should be number one. The loudest voice is heard, and as the voices get more quiet on the Sharon Moore story, as he was arraigned on Friday, which was a wild scene. Yeah, we're gonna let the legal system unfold on that and let everything deal. But yeah, I think that's all Michigan fans are trying to do is just
Hey,
trying to make something else louder.
hey, all I gotta say to that Michigan fans is we don't give a damn about the whole state of Michigan.
Getting the whole state of Michigan. Yeah.
Sorry,
For fuck's sake.
had to. It's been flooding my TikTok timeline, and it's just stuck in my damn head. But
Dude, I get it. Totally get it. Michigan fans they're just trying to distract themselves. And I understand that. I've had bad programs too.
I mean, this is also
Anyway.
just Michigan fans, though. They're right up there with Tennessee fans for getting the most butthurt about anybody saying anything bad
Yeah.
about them.
Oh, for sure. And we see that all the time. But it happens. Say they have their thing and we have ours. We'll just go ahead and continue to be number one and enjoy the ride from here because we do have the best team in the country. Tommy Lloyd is the best team he's ever had. And oh, by the way, we haven't even played LeBron James' son yet, who's supposed to be the best of the three.
No, they were talking about
he
him
read
saying saying at this point he should just probably redshirt.
Yeah, I think he
And
should, and I don't think it would be bad.
and then whether or not he hits the transfer portal, I wouldn't blame him if he did at the end of the season, but at least save that year of eligibility because God knows U of A is deep enough that barring 3 or 4 nasty injuries, he's probably not going to get playing time.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
so I'm not.
And going forward in the future, I don't know if he will or won't. So might as well take that red shirt. Decide after the season if you want to stay or you want to leave. I wouldn't fault them for leaving, but
No, no, not at all. And I mean, everyone's been leaving and has like not our school, but just every school in general. You know, the transfer portal has been used and will continue to be used at a very high rate among players that aren't happy and among schools that need help. And so, no, that's kind of the benefit of NIL. You go somewhere and everything's not working out. You can go other places. Now, granted, is that used a little too loosely? That's a whole other conversation for later. That whole system is a fucking mess considering the portal opens January 2nd anyway.
I think
Do you just want?
I know who Indiana's quarterback is going to be next year. I don't know if it's a wild take or not, but my way too early take after Sorsby hit the transfer portal. Definitely the top rated quarterback in the transfer portal. He's from the state of Indiana. It just makes perfect sense. Signetti's going to need a replacement for Mendoza, and he's going to do the same thing he did last year, and it's going to be yet another upgrade. I think Rourke to Mendoza was a slight upgrade, and I think Mendoza to Sorsby. And I know Mendoza just won the Heisman, but part of that's a product of the system. I loved Sorsby at Cincinnati, especially this year. I thought he played really, really well. They just unfortunately were on the losing end of a couple games. I think if Sorsby goes to Indiana, you got a top 5 Heisman candidate right away coming into the season there, and Braden Sorsby.
I couldn't agree more. He had a great season. Cincinnati, I mean, like you said, they had a great season too, just on the bad side of a couple of bounces. That is a name that kind of hits me too there at Indy. But what about another name that he announced that he will be back in college football and will not be going to the NFL draft through his dad. That'd be an Arch Manning. I don't remember exactly if the quote mentioned that he was staying at Texas as well, or if those options.
I imagine he will be because that starting job I don't think is going to be contested if he stays at Texas. So, especially the way that he had a much stronger back half of the season
Yeah,
and won some big games. I know he had his struggles early on, especially in non-conference, but I find it hard to believe that he wouldn't be the starter. And I think the reason he's coming back is because he's not first-round draft stock right now.
true. No, absolutely.
But if he comes in next year and plays an entire season the way he played the last 4 to 6 games, I mean, dude's gonna be a top 5 pick. So
Yeah, and another year as a starter and more games under his belt, that only helps him when he goes inevitably to the NFL. I mean, unless, and I think that's the crazy thing because, we talk about a lot of these quarterbacks, if they won't they, and we do kind of get an inkling, I would say, around their sophomore, junior year, if they've played enough games of, okay, yeah, this guy might be in, might be good. And
because next year he'll be a senior, but it's only his 3rd year of eligibility.
3rd year of eligibility, yes, redshirted freshman year. But I guess my point being, Noah, is everyone's just always assumed. Well, I mean, he's the nephew of Eli and Peyton. Of course he's going to make the league. What are we talking about? This kid's going to be great. And obviously showed the good stuff in high school and why he's, been at Texas and why he stayed at Texas so he can have that starting job, why it wasn't really a competition this summer and why it won't be a competition this summer. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. And I'm not saying that he's performed as as an overall bad quarterback. I think he had, like we've talked about, generally a good year as a first year starter.
Yeah, he got off to a slow start, which does happen sometimes when you're thrown into a starting role for the first time. But like I said, by the back half of the season, he was playing really good football.
No, absolutely. But maybe I'm just thinking way too far into this, Noah. But when does what for you? What for you would be the conversation starter of like, I don't know. Maybe Archie ain't cut out for this. Maybe he ain't as good as his uncles. Maybe this, maybe this isn't his future.
I think collectively as a public, we were too quick to jump on that. Obviously, the Ohio State game was like kind of like, oh, whatever. It's Ohio State's defense. Like that's a really tough first game as a starter. I know he had like 2 starts against whoever the year before when Quinn Ewers was injured, but Then it was the struggles against like San Jose State and whoever else they played in the rest of their non-conference, where it was like people started like really jumping ship on him quick, and then he didn't start SEC play like super hot. But those talks kind of felt like they fizzled out, where people are like, "Whatever, Arch is
No,
what he
absolutely.
is." But
No,
again,
and I was on that side of like, him playing fine and everything, but I'm just saying like when like in his college career, and I'm not saying it's going to be in the first 2 games next year or the last 3 games next year even, but at what point do we, maybe start having those conversations of, well, he couldn't really make it work in college as maybe he does get drafted for, to the NFL, but it might be a Shador Sanders type situation where Mel Kiper is screaming, "You gotta pick Arch number 1 overall. He's the best quarterback I've ever seen since Shador Sanders, and I was right about him." And it goes into that, and then he falls down to the 6th round. Like, when does those conversations start happening? If
I
let's just for fun say that it starts falling off again.
well, I mean that makes a big difference. I do think right now the way that this past season went, I think you just call it a wash with Arch. Again, it was a kind of tale of two halves with the season.
Yeah.
I think it's a clean slate for him going into next year. I think expectations are going to be a little bit less lofty going into the season, which may be a good thing for him.
Mm.
Like, I don't think he's going to be by any means a number 1 overall pick or Heisman finalist front runner going into the season next year. He's definitely going to be, he might be 9th or 10th in Heisman odds going into the year, but he's going to be outside of the top 5.
Yeah.
There's not going to be these big, massive number 1 overall pick, lofty expectations, which he's going to have an opportunity to earn. I mean, when you play in the SEC, all the eyes are on you. Their viewership numbers are better than anybody, regardless of what side of the argument you are on, whether or not the SEC is the best conference. And overall, if you take any 5-year span, they are. They're just not every single year. And I think
Yes.
that's where the argument needs to be clarified. Like, the SEC is not the best every year. Like, this year, they were not the best conference. I think the Big Ten was better, at least at the top, than the SEC this year. Yet the SEC truthers are going to tell you that, no, that's not the case. We'll see how it shakes out in the bowl games.
Yeah.
And then they'll probably say, well, there's opt-outs in the bowl
It's
games.
bowl games. Yeah.
They're not playing for anything, whatever. Again, if you take any 5-year span, I think, yes, the SEC is the strongest conference, but it's not an every year type of thing. And they were a little weaker this year, but going into next year, I expect, the SEC is always tough, regardless of whether or not they're the toughest.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So he'll have an opportunity to prove himself. I think ceiling for him is, he's in the 2027 NFL draft, he's the number 1 overall pick. I think the floor is he maybe doesn't have the best season, and he's a day 2 guy, and he's going to be starting his career as a backup or a third string on some team. Somebody will take a chance on Arch. It's different than Shador, because you just look at the system, the people
you look at
around him. If you're an NFL team, even if he doesn't have the best year next year, you're like, all right, we'll use a 2nd or a 3rd round pick on Arch. Let him sit, especially if you have an older veteran quarterback on your team. Be like, oh, we'll let him sit for a year or two, go that path. He's not only got the coaching staff that you have on whatever team you are that drafts him. He's also got Peyton, he's got Eli, he's got Cooper, and he's got Archie, who are all going to help towards his development. So whether or not he's there right now, I do firmly believe that Arch will be a good quarterback in the NFL. And it may be he doesn't end up being a perennial Pro Bowler or All-Star. Doesn't have the most spectacular numbers, but he'll be a starter in the NFL at some point. He is that good. I think his floor is high enough that, even if some team designs him to sit for 1 to 3 years because he's just not quite ready yet, he will eventually get ready, and I do fully believe that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see, and yeah, see how the cookie crumbles there. Last thing in college football for right now, we might talk about it a little bit later, but you remember how we talked about the Michigan job being open, and I hate to keep bringing up Michigan, but the Michigan job is open. It's the biggest job that is open, and arguably one they're going to be moving on fairly quickly. And we've listed a lot of names here, but the one name I've always gone back to and have continued to go to is Kenny Dillingham being the next head coach of Michigan. And Kenny Dillingham has, in the past stayed very strong. Like, I'm committed to ASU. I want to stay here. This is my dream job. This is where I want to be. Oh, how the tables turn, Noah, as Kenny Dillingham was asked if he wanted to go ahead and put those Michigan rumors to rest. You know what I mean? Just put them away and let's not talk about it anymore.
He couldn't say it. He couldn't shut it down completely.
Oh, Noah, quote unquote. My job is to do whatever I can for the people that are with me. I love it here. I've said that since day one. That's absolutely never changing. Absolutely never changing. That piece is never changing. So he loves being here. He loves the people. He loves everything that's going on. And yet he can't bring it to himself to say, yeah, I'm not going to Michigan. I'm not going. I mean, listen, I'm no, body language reader or language expert, linguistics or whatever the hell you want to call it, Noah. But
hey, I'm surprised. That's the right word, AJ. Good job.
Thank you. I was trying my best there. That has to be some of the best coach speak dancing around a question I've ever heard in my life. You know what I mean? Because honestly, and this is why I love the way Bill Belichick handles press conferences in the NFL, because he gets that question. It's, I'm on to the bowl game. Like, we will finish, I'm on to the bowl game. Like, I'm waiting to see what the bowl game is, and we're game planning for the bowl game.
Just deflect, kick it down the road.
Completely deflect. But then, trying to
ask me again after our bowl game.
Exactly. I'm focused. Yeah, I'm still in this season. I'm not worried about next season yet. We'll deal with next season when next season comes. Something to be like, okay, like, he's not, you know what I mean? Like, you won't get questions about this until after the bowl game. But my job is to do whatever I can for the people that are with me. Like, dude, like, a politician wrote that for him and said, dude, say this and this will get people off your back enough. But
interesting enough you bring that up, AJ, because I have been keeping an eye on the odds for the next coach for the University of Michigan. In the last couple days, Jed Fish, still the favorite, not as heavy of a favorite. Notice they don't ever ask Jed Fish about this, because after the Arizona to Washington thing, everybody just knows,
doesn't matter what he says. Doesn't matter what he says.
But Jed Fish has moved, not as heavy of a favorite, was minus 300 over the weekend, is now to minus 175. Dillingham, second best odds, sitting at plus 205. And then you got Kalen DeBoer sitting there third at about plus 700 right now. I don't know that DeBoer will go, because he's got a really, I think the situation is good enough at Alabama. They're playing in the playoffs that.
For the second year in a row.
And DeBoer's, no, they missed last year.
Were they cut last year?
Yeah, they were right on the outside. Remember, people were upset.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Outside looking in, looking in the playoff.
Set the precedent that 3 lost teams are not going to be invited to the playoff. Now, I know they lost 3 this year, but one of those in the conference championship game did not make the conference championship game last year and had 3 losses.
True.
But, I don't see DeBoer leaving for Michigan. Feels like feels like a lateral move.
At best, it's a lateral move.
And I don't know why you would do that when Alabama's paying you a shit ton of money, unless you felt like your seat was a little hot, which it has been in 2 seasons. DeBoer's seat at multiple times has been pretty hot.
Well, but Noah, hold on. Has it been, hot as in the fans are just pissy because he's not Nick Saban, or has it been hot in, because granted, don't get me wrong. I've heard the whole fire DeBoer thing. Let's get someone else in here and all of that. But I haven't been hearing that from, inside the Alabama building, a couple pissed off boosters and shit. Sure. But it hasn't been very loud from the Alabama.
The noise was louder last year in year 1.
Definitely last year. Yeah.
This year, I think it might've been the loudest this year after the Florida State loss to kick off the season.
That was bad. Yeah. That was really bad.
But then after Bama went on and beat like 4 or 5 ranked SEC teams in a row, I think that noise quieted down real quick. And I don't think it's. I'm gonna say his seat is lukewarm right now, like not even fully warm. Like he's definitely not solidified into that Alabama job. So that would, in my mind, be the only reason for him to leave for Michigan is if he's worried about long term job security. But at the end of the day, you take care of business in the playoff here. It doesn't matter. If Bama's a first round exit in the playoff, though, that's the only chance where I think that door might be open a tiny crack for DeBoer to say, you know what, I'll just go sign a 7-year contract at Michigan.
Yeah.
And then all these murmurs, all these rumors in Alabama about wanting to get rid of me, those get shut down real quick. Especially you go in and first year or two beat Ohio State once or twice, then you're good for the next. Yeah. Harbaugh lost his first 8 games against. It was a miracle he didn't get fired after losing 8 straight against Ohio State. But then I guess he won 4 straight to go out. So I don't know,
but my feelings towards Kenny Dillingham being the next head coach have definitely increased. Seems like the bettors agree with me and Vegas agrees with me.
Still think it's Jedd Fisch, especially after blowing out Boise State in that bowl game. I think Fisch is the most likely, and I said that when the second that Sharon Moore got fired.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked to see Dillingham at this point.
Here is my thing with the whole Jedd Fisch of it all. And this might be me looking into it a little bit much with the landscape of college football continuing to change essentially on a daily basis. But I do feel at some point these coaches know, like, if I'm going to be going and recruiting, and they've got to have gotten these questions before, at the kitchen tables and everything, like, why should I believe that you're going to be here in 3 years? Why should I believe if I decide to come to your school on scholarship, et cetera, that you are going to be my head coach in the next couple of years? And I guess the easy response is, how do I know you're not going to be here in the next 4 years and everything like that with NIL and the transfer portal?
And
but
the better, easier response is, who the fuck is going to offer you a job that's going to take you away from Michigan?
Yeah.
There's maybe one school for Jedd Fisch, and they didn't even give him the job this time around, and that's the University of Florida. That's the place I thought as soon as he left U of A.
I really did too.
At U of A before he left, it was like, oh, eventually Jedd Fisch is going to leave when the Florida job opens up. Well, they go with Summerall, and Jedd Fisch might end up at Michigan.
I get he might, and it would follow, who Jedd Fisch is and how he operates and everything. But
I guess my point there is, if Jedd Fisch were to take the Michigan job, I think the only job he would leave Michigan for would be Florida.
That's fair. That's fair. I think if Kenny Dillingham goes to Michigan, there's not another job that's going to take him away.
No,
and I think that's definitely on Michigan's mind because they've seen the playbook with Jedd Fisch and everything. And I wouldn't be.
They got deep ass pockets. It's one of the 5 or 6 best jobs in college football. Head coach in Michigan football, like it's one of the top 5 or 6. Order it however you want. I would accept an argument that it's in the top 2 or 3 even.
Yeah.
And Michigan's got deep ass pockets. You're going to have everything you need there, and it would be really, really hard to take anybody away from that job. And I do agree. Dillingham, I don't think there's a single program that pulls him outside of that if he's having success.
Yeah. But Jedd Fisch, we all know it's that Florida job that's lurking for him. But no, I do want to go ahead and switch from college football to the NFL because I think we should just go ahead and separately from our normal NFL recap talk about this because it does feel like the biggest news out of the NFL this weekend. The Kansas City Chiefs. Not only have they been eliminated from playoffs, but Patrick Mahomes goes down with a torn ACL, LCL, and a couple of other sprains and other ligaments. He did get successful surgery as of last night and will start his rehab process. Now, we have seen, the improvements that have come from ACL tears, Achilles tears, and everything like that. You're still looking anywhere from about a 9 to full year of recovery and everything. And we've seen what happens when some quarterbacks look like coming back from those types of injuries, Noah. but it's got everyone kind of thinking, because not only, you lose your franchise for the rest of this season and probably most of next, but you're also eliminated from playoffs for the first time in what, 10 years, 7 years or whatever, since 2018, I think it is.
Yeah,
Um,
it's been a long. Well, no, they've been in seven straight
7 straight
AFC
champion. And
Championship games.
yes, that's what it was. My
I
bad.
I think it's. I think you got to go back farther. I think it might be 2014 or 13 was the last time the Chiefs missed the playoffs.
And so obviously, people are going to start to panic. And, for very good reason. Not only do you have, your franchise that's been kind of dragging your team across the finish line in these wins out for the foreseeable future, you also have a aging roster of all these superstars that arguably some of them not performing up to standard, up to what the contract states, and already accounting for $342 million of payroll, and the
Yeah,
cap projected to be around 340 going into
you
next season.
you got to imagine that their playoff chances going into next season are not going to be ideal. I don't know who's going to be at quarterback. Mahomes, if he comes back from this on the very short, quick end, you're still talking about probably the first 8, 9 games of the season that he's going to miss. If
Yeah.
maybe on the very shortest end that we've seen with these recoveries, maybe he misses the first 6 games or so.
Yeah.
Um, that could be enough to put the Chiefs in a hole, and they're going to be playing with a not ideal salary cap again. Like you said, a lot of aging players taking up a lot of money. So there's Chiefs front office is going to have a lot of decisions to make this offseason, and I wouldn't be fully surprised to see them just kind of throw the towel in on next season and
Yeah.
just say, you know what, we're going to give Mahomes ample amount of time to recover from this. So then in the 2027 season, we can be back to Chiefs football. Probably cut some of these aging veterans who they're paying a lot of money to. If they don't win a lot of games and Mahomes doesn't even play the entire season next year, they can hit, I imagine they'll be in a favorable draft position. If they lose most of the rest of their games this year, which is pretty likely, or likely enough, at least for them to lose 2 out of 3 to end the season, they're not going to have a horrible draft pick this year. And so rebuild a little through the draft in the next 2 years. That's probably what I would do if I'm the Chiefs because of this injury now, is look forward and be like, okay, all eyes on 2027. We're just not
Yeah.
we're just not even going to fucking focus on 2026. Like, we're already, before that season even starts, throwing that out. And they'll probably be back to being really competitive Super Bowl candidates in 2027. But next year might be
Yeah.
tough. Again, some of that going to depend on if they try to push the recovery window or if they just let Mahomes basically have next season off.
And, you think about Mahomes, and since he's been a starter, he's always played long seasons. His seasons have always ended in January or February, and then minicamp is right around the corner and everything like that. He hasn't been able to have a full offseason. It seemed like he was going to, now having to go through rehab. I mean, obviously he is a competitor. He's one of the best to do it, and he's going to want to get back out on that field. He's going to get bored. He's going to get irritated. He's going to get tired. We've seen it happen time and time again. That's why Joe Burrow came back, even against, probably a lot of people, suggesting it. And now he's, not happy playing football. That's a whole other conversation we can have later. But I agree with you. I think that if he does take the next year off, that's not a bad thing. And that's not a bad thing for Mahomes, I think, as a person, as an athlete and everything, because it has been go, go, go for him for however long. Just rehab, play till the playoffs, win or lose the AFC Championship, win or lose the Super Bowl. Yeah. And it's just been on that cycle. And that's a hard cycle. I'm honest to God, I'm surprised he hasn't been injured more, if we're going to be completely honest with how long he's been playing and how much he's been playing. But,
he's also not the type of guy who's like strays away from too many hits either. So
no, he takes a fair amount. He dares guys to hit him out of bounds and everything like that. He's great at drawing that flag. But I also do think, though, that the Chiefs are going to get some help, whether it is restructuring Patrick Mahomes' huge ass contract and kicking more money down the road or anything.
going to happen eventually when they sign him
Yeah,
to a 10-year, $500 million contract. You knew at some point, especially with the salary cap going up pretty much every year, there'll be some restructuring going on there.
for sure. But you also might get some help if a certain tight end who gets married decides, hey, I just want to
Time to
travel the
retire.
world with my $1 billion girlfriend, my wife now, excuse me. Um,
Yeah,
that might be it. But McCormick, what's good, brother?
and a Kelsey retirement would, I mean, not that tight ends are like super, super, super highly paid, but
No.
that would certainly ease the cap situation if he decides on retirement.
Well, yeah, and then you look at, an aging Chris Jones. I know he just signed a huge deal. Maybe he'll restructure, do something to provide a little bit of relief.
Or,
There's
or
a
could be on the list of guys that Kansas City's like, all right, we're just going to cut to save money and again focus on 2027.
yeah. I don't think that's a bad option either, honestly. But this will everyone's talking about dynasties done, dynasties done, dynasties done. Um, I think this iteration, you know what I mean? I don't think the Patrick Mahomes dynasty is done by any means necessary. I don't think, but barring multiple setbacks, barring the rehab not going well, the surgery not going well, all of those X factors, excluded. The only thing stopping Mahomes from getting back to a Super Bowl is a team built around him enough to
Yeah.
help him get to another Super Bowl, just like Brady when he did this in year 9 and yada, yada, yada. But
Well,
I'm not trying to make that comparison. But my point being, you
Patriot,
got Brady, you got Mahomes, you're good.
well, and that Patriots dynasty had two different peaks. There was a 3-4 year window in the middle of that where they were struggling to make the playoffs, and yeah, they were still making the playoffs, but they had some 10-6 seasons where they were getting in with the wild card in the middle of that Belichick Brady dynasty, and then you had the two peaks where they were winning and in the Super Bowl almost every year because it was early on in Brady's career, and then the middle kind of sunk a little bit, and then towards the end, is this resurgence. So there's no reason that Andy Reid, if he continues coaching, and
78.
yeah, and Patrick Mahomes can't do the same thing. Chiefs with this injury, I'm not going to say it's a good thing for them, but it might give them the opportunity to take a step back and say, okay, how do we rebuild this thing? Because it feels like the last couple of years they've been kind of just hanging on.
It's been
Yeah,
patch jobs. Yeah, it's been patch
they,
jobs.
they have made deep playoff runs every year, but it feels like every year, the last 3 years, we've been talking about, oh, the Chiefs don't look that great. They don't look that great, and then they're still in the AFC Championship game or the Super
Yeah.
Bowl. But maybe this is the opportunity then in 2027, 2028, something like that, to be like, oh shit, this is a really fucking good Chiefs team. Like, by week 4, we're like, yeah, this team's winning it all.
Yeah, and all the signings the last couple of years in the offseason and everything have felt very rushed, have felt very, reactionary to whatever's going on and not really what they need. Again, here, can you tell me who the Chiefs wide receiver one has been the last 2 years?
This year it's probably Rashee Rice, even though he was out 6 games with the suspension.
No, but I get that. But like my point being, like, yeah, I guess Rashee Rice, but is he really the number? Is he really wide receiver number 1 for them? I know he's probably designated as that, but
I mean, he's
has he
been
been?
pretty fucking dominant, but he was out I
Yeah,
had 6 games. But either way, and then last year they had the emergence of Rashee Rice, which for the
yeah,
majority of the season it was like, who the fuck's playing wide receiver? Because Worthy wasn't it, and then all of a sudden Rashee Rice burst onto the scene.
yeah.
They had a guy. But yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting position for the Chiefs to be in. They're going to have some decisions to make for next year and the year following. But I imagine 2 years from now we're going to be talking about the Chiefs, and it's going to be like, okay, yep,
Yep.
they're
There
back
we
to
go.
these things.
Here we go. We're back. Um, Sweet dude. Any other news besides shout out Nick Saban for now being minority owner of the Predators? Any other kind of things you want to talk about before we get into the NFL this week?
Um, I'm sure we'll get into it. So
I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. Before we do that, no, let's go ahead and take a real quick break. And then we'll dive into what was NFL Week 15 and the craziness from this week. But hey, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to everyone here on Rumble, over on YouTube and X. Y'all are the best. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons, hit those follow buttons. Does help out a lot more than you know. I'm the Brofict one, AJ. That's the Money Train. Noah. We'll be right back. Right.
yes, sir.
3, 2. And we're back. What's up, DJs? Brofict one, AJ here with the Money Train Noah, as we're ready to dive into what was the week of college football. NFL Week 15. Sorry, I got a tweet. Let's go ahead and just dive right into it, Noah. Let's go back to Thursday night football, as we had the Buccaneers. Falcons come away with a win here, 29-28. Whoops, I hit the wrong button. There we go. Baker Mayfield, not his best night, 19 for 34, 277 yards, 2 touchdowns, and interceptions, taking not 1, not 2, but 5 sacks on the night. Kirk Cousins, 30 for 44, 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Kirko Chains is all the way back after leading a very nice last-second drive for the dub. This was a great game by Atlanta. No, a great game by Atlanta. They hung around in it. They stuck into it. Defense did their job. And, God, the Bucs just looked so flat, dude. I don't know what it's been these last couple of weeks. The defense wasn't, firing on all cylinders. The offense was, not being able to really get some momentum going at all times. It was a very frustrating game watching the Buccaneers. They had multiple opportunities to really, step up and take over, and they just weren't able to, put the Falcons away at any point.
Yeah, and their defense looked really flat. Like it was not good. You're
No.
not talking about back-to-back losses to the Saints and the Falcons.
Oof.
Not a great look. They do get bailed out by the team that beat them last week in the New Orleans Saints. I saw a really funny meme that was like, it was from a Bucks account, and it was like a business handshake with the Saints, and then the next frame was immediately washing the handoff. Yeah, Saints do the Bucks a favor by also beating Carolina, which keeps by one game. The Bucks right now have the tiebreaker. There's 2 head-to-head games in the last 3 games of the season between the Panthers and the Bucks to decide which one of these teams is going to be in the playoffs. The Bucks right now hold the tiebreaker, which is about the 4th or 5th tiebreaker down. Record in common games. That is what has the Bucks currently in first place in this division. They have a better record in common games. Now, if the 2 teams split their remaining 2 meetings, what happens in that 3rd game for Carolina and Tampa Bay is going to decide what happens in this division, and that could be really interesting. Obviously, if one team wins both, they win the playoffs. It doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah.
Division doesn't matter what happens in the other game. But if the Bucks do end up in the playoffs, which they very well could, it's going to be a total holy shit did this team backpedal into the playoffs. I mean, they early on in the season played a lot of tough teams, were beating a lot of tough teams in really close games. It felt like every game was really close for them, but they were coming out on the right side of it. God. Yeah, the last 2 weeks definitely do not instill any confidence in me for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Whether it's the Bucks or the Panthers, feels like one of these 2 teams is going to the slaughterhouse at home first round of the playoffs, where they're going to get Seattle or Los Angeles. So you have the Seahawks or the Rams coming into your building, and I don't think either the 2 teams in the NFC South really are going to have much of a chance. Being a playoff game, they might not be double-digit underdogs, but yeah, I mean, we could easily see a 7-8 point underdog, whether it's Tampa Bay or Carolina, against, like I said, most likely either Seattle or Los Angeles. Whoever wins that meeting this upcoming week, probably taking the NFC West, I would imagine.
On Thursday.
Can sneak in, but I don't really see that happening.
No, I mean, if both teams lose, if both teams tie, I guess there's probably a window for San Francisco to get a bigger window for San Francisco to get.
Somehow that's probably the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Although
for the 49ers is,
I think the Niners do have a head-to-head game against one of them. So let's see, 49ers schedule. 49ers do play the Seahawks, so actually it would probably be most beneficial for the Niners if Seattle were to win, because then they'll get a chance to beat Seattle and then need Seattle to drop one of their other 2 games. Again, the window's real tiny for San Francisco. I don't really see it happening.
No.
I believe if the Rams win this, the Niners are pretty much done unless the Rams lose their last 2 games. So
yeah, which I don't think is going to happen.
And not done. Niners will get a wild card spot, but
yeah. All right, let's go ahead and move over to the Sunday slate, Noah, and let's start off with this football game. And this football game, I got some thoughts on this football game, Noah. And it's a game that you probably thought I wasn't going to have a lot of thoughts on, but I got a lot of thoughts on it. And by the way, McCormick, shout out. Kincaid at Cade is absolutely a dog. Cleveland Browns, Chicago Bears. Bears belt to ass 31-3 in this one. Caleb Williams, 17 for 28. 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, not to mention the 3 carries for 13 yards. I mean, he played football, Noah. He played football. Shedeur Sanders, 18 for 35, 3 interceptions on the day. the Bears are at a good point. And I mean, the Bears are at a point where I can't remember the last time I saw them, where we are in a position where we are like really beating bad teams.
Yeah,
Like we're in a position where we are not going to play down to you. We are going to, play bad teams really, really good. Here's the conversation Bears fans are not wanting to have right now. This is a team that's going to get eliminated in the first week of the playoffs. Like, this is a well enough run team defensively that, yeah, it'll be a close game, but even against this Cleveland defense, and yes, Cleveland has had a pretty solid defense all year, and so I'm trying to give Caleb some credit here, but even the last couple of weeks I've been looking for him, and I'm trying to see where all of this development is, and I'm seeing it slowly come, but I'm not seeing enough of it, and I just don't think it's enough. And we've seen what happens to Caleb and the Bears when they do play against a good, solid defense, and when the offense is competent too, and not good things happen for the Chicago Bears. And so, yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at with the Bears. Browns are a team that play football.
I think the biggest story of this game was the Bears' defense. Obviously, Caleb Williams
incredible.
Caleb Williams had a better stat line than I was expecting him to.
Yeah.
Against a Browns defense that is still stingy and tough, despite how bad they are as a whole. That being said, when you're being put in very favorable drive position every single time, it makes it a lot easier on the offense. And that happened in this game. Shador put up a real stinker of a game after, through his first 3 starts, he had 2 good games, 1 not so good game. Now he's had a horrendous game. So make of that what you will. Shador only 4 starts. Like I said, 2 good games in 4 starts, 1 not so good game, and now a really horrible game in this one. Granted, the wind chill was minus 20. The wind chill was minus 20. Certain players that doesn't seem to bother at all. Certain players it does. And sample size is too small to tell what's up with that. Obviously,
Shador played in Colorado.
Yeah, but it don't get that cold.
Colorado's fucking cold.
It doesn't get that fucking cold in Colorado. Yeah, I thought the Bears played a complete game here. Ben Johnson, obviously a hell of a coach, proven his worth. But we go back to how many wins do the Bears have over teams with winning records?
We don't have to go to that stat.
With their starting quarterback, because they do
don't have to go to that stat.
They do have 1 win against a team with a winning record. That was against Mason Rudolph-led Pittsburgh, which they barely won. But if you look at teams with winning records with their starting quarterback, the Bears have not won a single game. They've only lost 1 game to a team with a losing record, and that was week 1 to the Vikings. So, to your point, AJ, they are beating bad teams. And they're not losing to bad teams. The key for them is going to be, can you beat good teams? And they will have another matchup here against a pretty battered Packers team, and we'll get to that later. Definitely going to be missing some key players, so an opportunity for them to really actually take control of this division. Obviously, if the Packers win, Packers are back in first place. If the Bears do win this one, I got to imagine they probably take home the NFC North and end up with likely a 2 seed in the
probably.
Especially with the head-to-head over Philadelphia. If they beat the Packers this upcoming week, I mean they're probably looking at the 2 seed, which could very well mean a rematch for a 3rd time against the Green Bay Packers. Which, if you're a Bears fan, I don't know that you want that. I mean, you do because you do want to win that game and you do want to win the division, but that's probably the last team you want to see in the first round of the playoffs coming into Soldier Field would be the Packers.
Yeah, I'm okay on that. Breaking news, Noah. The TGL will be starting their season on December 28th at 3 p.m. Eastern.
Okay.
So that's happening.
Yeah. Good for them.
Good for them. Anyway, Moving on, Noah. Joe Burrow has lost his smile. He's not happy. I mean, we heard about that at last week, and let me tell you, brother, it doesn't seem like it's getting much better down there in Cincy. Ravens go ahead and blow out the Bengals 24-0. Joe Burrow 25 for 38, 25 for 39, 225 yards, 2 interceptions, 3 sacks, 27 pressures. Yeah, Lamar Action Jackson, though, 8 for 12, 150 yards. And yeah, that's the type of stat line you can have when Derrick Henry gets 11 carries for 100 yards. Having an absolutely great game there. Lamar Jackson with 26.
Could have gave him the ball more.
Well. Huh?
Could have gave him the ball more, but
I agree.
I understand Henry's a valuable asset, especially with playoff aspirations for the Ravens, still sitting within striking distance. And yeah, don't want to wear Henry out, which has kind of been the story of their season, which was a little weird because it's like, okay, you're not feeding your best player the ball. If they had given Henry more carries, they might have 1 or 2 more wins on their record and actually be sitting in first place in the division right now. But if they do make it into the playoffs, his carry count, his snap count's been lower this year. So, I mean, last thing any team wants to see is fresh legs with Derrick Henry going into the playoffs.
Yeah, especially playing in the cold and that man's coming downhill. I am good on that. I do want to take a moment, Noah, and talk to Joe Burrow real quick because Joe, I get it. I get it. I get it. Your job sucks right now, bro. Your job sucks right now. Upper management isn't giving you any help. I get it, bro. And I do think that your happiness is important. I think you should be, having fun and being happy playing football. And you're in Cincinnati, bro. Cincinnati, Ohio, with all that clouds in the skies. Oh, no. He's got all that gross clouds in the sky. That white, gross stuff on the ground that allegedly is frozen water that falls from the sky. That's some weird shit. Why don't you get out of that, Joe? Why don't you go back to warmer climates? You had success at LSU. Nice, warm climate down there, but I don't think you should go back to Louisiana, Joe. No. Because you're too cool. You're Joe Cool, Joe Ice, Joe Shiesty. You deserve a team that's going to appreciate you, a fan base that will see your talent and know that no matter how bad we are, because granted, some upper management isn't as good or might be better than the management you have now. But you can look past that when you walk outside in the middle of the afternoon in December and it's 80 degrees. And you're wearing a tank top with shorts and you're debating if you want to go to the pool or not. Or the fact that, lawn maintenance is easy. There ain't no shoveling snow. There ain't no any of that. So, Joe, why don't you go ahead and get on a plane and come down here to Phoenix, Arizona? Why don't you come play for the Arizona Cardinals?
Kingsbury's house is still on the market.
It definitely is, bro. It definitely is. And if you're still dating that hot supermodel, she'll love it. If you're not still dating her, any other hot supermodel will love it. Like, Joe, your life will infinitely be better if you come to Arizona and play for the Arizona Cardinals. And I think, personally, Joe, I will buy your first beer in Old Town. I will buy your first round in Old Town Scottsdale.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to go to Old Town, but that's a different story.
That's a different story. But anyway, the offer still stands. Your first drink here in Arizona will be on me, Joe Burrow. Please, for the love of God, save my sanity and show me how a quarterback is supposed to play football.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know that that's happening. Oddly enough, the Jets are the favorite to be Joe Burrow's next team. Obviously, the Jets have come out and basically said they'll give a haul for a trade for Joe Burrow, which is essentially putting him in one shitty situation to another shitty situation. So if that's...
And the other one doesn't have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, that part. God damn, Cincinnati front office and ownership, though. Did you see the comments that they made?
No, I didn't. Oh God.
It
had to be the most death
Oh, it was the stupidest thing ever because it was like, oh, all these players are unhappy and want out of Cincinnati, and they were basically like, yeah, we don't blame them. That was the gist of it. Was they were like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. We don't blame them. Like
we don't like it here either. We want to move the team. What are we talking about here?
So Again, shout out to Cincinnati for being the worst run franchise in the entire NFL right now. And that's saying a lot because you got the New York Jets.
You got
They're
the
a
New
team,
York Jets. You got the
and the
Arizona
Giants,
Cardinals right now. The
and the Giants.
Giants.
Yet somehow Cincinnati just decides they just every time want to one up. Over the last 2-3 years, it's like, oh, we just got to one up everybody for how shittily run of an organization we can be.
Like, I would probably put that above the way the White Sox and the Rockies have been ran lately. Like, that is some dumbass shit to be saying when you're about to be going into free agency and trying to convince your franchise to be staying with you. That is a wild statement.
And even if you have an idea that these players are probably going to be leaving, that you might be trading them, at least if you're management, you come out and just pull the dick move and just say, oh, well, if players don't want to be here, we don't want them as part of our team culture.
Yeah, be big, scary owner.
Instead, they just decide to go, yeah, we don't really blame them. We wouldn't want to be here either.
Yeah, they could have either gone big, scary billionaire owner who doesn't give a fuck, but instead they went teenager having a fucking tantrum. Like, what? Come on, dude. That is
That being said, Joe Burrow apparently going to be playing out the rest of the season.
Hey, he loves football. He's a football player first. I respect the hell out of that.
Hey, that's a football guy. It does seem right now like Joe Burrow more likely to be traded than not.
You think so? This is the NFL. And I've listened to a couple of shows talk about it, and they're like, is Joe Burrow going to be the first NFL quarterback who makes that kind of money? And is your franchise to go up to the owner and be like, I want out, send me here? Is he going to be the first one to kind of open that Pandora's box?
Because on the flip side of that, you look at Trey Hendrickson. He's still there. He asked to be traded. They didn't trade him, and he's still under contract for Cincinnati. And at some point, though, I do feel like Cincinnati's going to realize they got to cut their losses if all these players are going to be asking out.
Yeah.
They said no to T. Higgins. They said no to Trey Hendrickson. But at some point, they're going to have to realize they got to cut their losses and get something in return rather than just letting these contracts expire and then these guys not re-signing contracts and then just going into free agency. Because then they're going to be playing for potentially division rivals, conference rivals, and the Bengals will have nothing to show for in return. So from that standpoint, I wouldn't be surprised if Cincinnati just is like, all right, we're just going to amass a shit ton of draft picks and other capital. They'll say, okay, yeah, we'll trade Joe Burrow for Garrett Wilson and 2 first-round picks, and the Jets will give them that for Joe Burrow. Jets are then going to have no fucking receivers and be out 2 first-round draft picks and have to figure out what to do with that situation.
Yeah.
And then Jamar Chase is like, oh, I want to go too. And then they'll trade Jamar Chase for 2 first-round draft picks maybe. And then next thing you know, out of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase just on their own, the Bengals now have Garrett Wilson, who's a good receiver, and 4 first-round draft picks out of it, have a chance to rebuild something. And then you figure out kind of what to do with the rest of the pieces there. But I could see that being a scenario because at some point, like I said, the Bengals are going to have to realize none of these players want to be here. We're at least going to get a hefty return out of the 3 to 4 players who are worth a high price on the trade market.
We'll see if Cincinnati owners are smart enough, but
and then Cincinnati's going to be the team dictating where these guys go because they got the contracts, and that's why Joe Burrow is probably favorited to land on the New York Jets because the Jets are willing to pay the price. And if Cincinnati's shopping Joe Burrow and trading him, I think they're totally okay sending him to the Jets because they're like, well, that's not really a threat for us, and he's going to be in another shitty situation, but at least we're going to get Garrett Wilson and 2 first-round picks out of it.
We'll have to see if ownership has gotten any wiser. I doubt it. Next one, we've got Chargers and the Chiefs. We talked about the Chiefs a lot. Chargers coming away with a big win here, getting closer and closer to the Denver Broncos as the season is coming down. Chargers played fine. 19 for 29 for Herbert, 210. Hampton and Vidal did most of their jobs. Overall, I mean, a pretty solid night for the Chargers, team that, I do think will be competitive in the playoffs. Do I think they're going to make a deep run with how they've been playing, what they've been kind of doing? I don't know. I think Omarion Hampton definitely coming back has, given the offense a little bit of juice, but they were doing fine before. They just don't feel like a deep playoff run team to me.
Yeah, Hampton coming back was huge because Vidal was productive. I'll, over half the games in his absence. Vidal, obviously, a very different type of back, who they're still using a lot in the pass
Yeah.
game. The thing that you don't get with Vidal that you do get with Omarion Hampton is a between the tackles runner. And so that opens up the run game a lot for the Chargers. It's clearly been an impact return, and they are still using Vidal, which is kind of cool, good for him. Chargers eke out another win. I think if you're the Chargers, you're just hoping to God that the Texans don't overtake Jacksonville, because I think you'd at this point much rather play at Jacksonville than you would at Houston in that first round playoff game. Denver being 2 games ahead, it feels like it's going to be tough sledding for the Chargers to, especially now with Mahomes out. That Denver Kansas City game, and if you're a Chargers fan, you were really really cheering for the Packers big time this week because then you're
Yeah.
within striking distance. Now it feels a little out of reach, and if the Chargers keep doing their thing, it feels like they're destined for that first wild card spot in the AFC, and then you're playing the 4 seed, which at this point, kind of looking like that's probably the Texans. Unless I'm, no, never mind. 4 seed's actually beautiful for them because they're playing at Pittsburgh, at Baltimore, or the 5 seed rather. If they slip to the 6, then they're probably playing the Texans or the Jags. So I take all that back. You're probably okay if you're the Chargers. You're like, all right, cool, we're fine with the 5 seed because then you're feeling like you should be favored going into Pittsburgh or Baltimore.
Yeah.
And then it's on to the rest of the playoffs, which after the first round, it's going to be tough no matter what, every single
Yeah.
year.
No, it will. It will. And it's going to get tougher because one team is in a rare opportunity where all of the quarterbacks and all of the teams that have taken them down in the past in the playoffs are no longer going to be a threat. And can they grasp that opportunity? We got a little bit of a preview of that on Sunday with the Bills and the Patriots. Bills come away with this one off of a Josh Allen late drive, 35-31 in Foxborough. And shout out to both of these teams. In my opinion, this was the game of the morning, best game on slate. And both teams look great. Yeah, it was a slobber knocker. You want both defenses to maybe tighten it up a little bit, but I mean, overall, both teams did their job. They played great, and potential, AFC championship matchup. Maybe do they meet in the playoffs? Maybe, but if the Bills can, put the Patriots away like this, and some saying, this is the Patriots' real first test here, but I mean, it showed how good the Patriots are, showed the Bills are just a step ahead. Josh Allen having an incredible night, and wouldn't be surprised if, they're able to maybe get over that hump, get to a Super Bowl and see what happens.
Yeah, God, we'll see though, because you watch the Bills, you see them play every week. The hard part for me is Josh Allen has to go God mode
Yeah, every week
for this team to win a close game.
Yeah,
against a good team. If he's anything less than like literal God mode, if he shows any signs of humanity in his play, the Bills aren't winning these games, and they haven't this season. And that's extremely concerning for me. I obviously had a tremendous fucking game this week, had a tremendous game last week against Cincinnati, absolutely needed it to win that game. I do think Josh Allen unlocks when there's snow on the ground, there's a little something extra for him. The dude, I mean, he went to school in Wyoming, so he loves a little snow. He loves playing in the snow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just concerning to me. Had to come back from 21 down to the Patriots in this one. Patriots should have won this game. They don't. Looking at the rest of their schedule, they're at Baltimore next week, but then after that, they got the Jets and Dolphins to end the season. They do have, with that Miami win over Buffalo, Patriots can lose to Baltimore, and so long as they beat the Jets and the Dolphins to end the season, they still win the division. So Buffalo staring down a wild card spot. They're going to be playing the entire playoffs on the road. I don't love their Super Bowl chances of making it or winning it. And on the flip side, New England, yeah, they've had the easiest schedule in the league. But they look the part. They look the part.
Yeah.
They're fine. Denver's got a much tougher schedule, so the Patriots' hopes of that one seed being a game behind Denver still very much alive. They get Baltimore, the Jets, and the Dolphins, whereas Denver's got to go play Kansas City. I know no Mahomes there. But
you got Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, they also have the Chargers, and then, who else did they have? It's another tough team. Jaguars. So they got the Jaguars, the Chiefs, and then the Chargers to end the season. So by no means an easy stretch for the Broncos. I mean, they do continue to squeak out games, it feels like, and we'll see what happens. I don't think it matters that much for the Patriots whether they're the 1 or the 2 seed. They should, with their schedule, end up as a top 2 seed. So I don't know that I'm feeling like the Bills are that much of a threat, even with all the quarterbacks that Josh Allen has not been able to get past in the playoffs being out of the picture.
Yeah.
And he may still run into a Lamar Jackson in the playoffs, which
true.
Or run into a Houston defense that is playing out of their goddamn minds. And like we said, with Josh Allen needing to basically activate God mode to win these games, I don't see that happening against the Houston defense.
No, that's a big ask for the big man. Let's move on to the next one. This game was on my laptop to the side. Commanders, Giants. Commanders come away with this one 29-21. Mariota 10 for 19, 211, 1 tutty. Jackson Dart 20 for 36, 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Also had 9 carries for 63 yards. Shout out to him. Yeah.
This was a game that happened. Really, the only impact on this is draft.
Yeah, draft order.
Draft order. If I'm Washington, I don't know if I'm necessarily happy about winning this one.
No, probably a little upset, and then you're shutting down Jaden Daniels the rest of the season. Not really, not the best weekend.
Yeah, I think these two teams play one more time this season, so we'll see who wants to lose that one more.
We will see. It's that meme from South Park where it's like, no, we want to lose this game and go home. No. Oh, man. Another game that didn't surprise anyone. I'm not reading too much into it because everyone's been doing this. Raiders, Eagles. Eagles win this one 31-0. Glad to see those Philadelphia fans nice and happy. 12-15, 175 for Jalen Hurts with 3 touchdowns. Saquon 22 for 78 with a tutty as well. Kenny Pickett, I will give him credit. He definitely he tries his hardest. He tries his hardest.
I'm sure he gives his best effort every game, AJ, but that doesn't change the fact that Kenny Pickett still, not good.
Yeah.
Does not deserve to be a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah.
And
Raiders are bad.
For the love of God, if you're the Raiders, get this man Ashton Genty some help.
Please.
You draft him. It's very rare that you draft a running back that high unless you really feel like they're going to be special. And the ones who have gotten drafted that high, I mean, you start looking at Saquon, CMC, some of the recent ones that come to mind. They all seem to pan out really damn well. And Genty's had a couple really good games this season, but he's got no offensive line help, no quarterback help, the receiver room there is decimated. Yeah, you have Brock Bowers, who's been injured half the year. Get this man some fucking help. And the Raiders, I don't know why I thought they were going to hit the over 4.5 wins this season. Turns out the books were right to put it there. Probably should have put it a little bit lower because, in my mind, seeing the amount of football we've seen this season, with the season only having 3 weeks left, the Raiders are the worst team in the league.
Yeah.
So I don't read into this at all for Philly. Okay, you beat up on the worst team in the league, and I know they've been close in a few games, but it is pretty much the result I expected, especially Philly coming off a loss to the Chargers. It doesn't surprise me at all that they just put some belt to ass in this one.
Yeah, for sure. We got two other stinkers right back to back, Noah. New York Jets, Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars win 48. I can't pull it up. Doesn't even want me to talk about it. 48-20. They win this game. Trevor Lawrence, 20 for 32, 330 for 5 touchdowns. Count all of them. Ran one in himself, too, by the way, just for fun. He had a game. The Jaguars had a game. Brady Cook still in the league. Shout out to Brady Cook. I really did not know that before handicapping this game. So shout out to him. Yeah.
Yeah, biggest thing about this one, if you were in your fantasy football playoffs and you had Trevor Lawrence this week, you were that was a really good decision. Other than that, I mean, this game was a blowout from pretty much the start. I know the Jets scored a little bit in the second half to, I don't even know if make this score closer, but they at least were going tit for tat in the second half, but they were already down by 3-4 touchdowns, so it didn't fucking matter. Defense couldn't stop anything. I know I said the Raiders are probably the worst team in the NFL, but the Jets are pretty damn close there. I know they've squeaked out a couple wins in the second half of the season after starting 0-8. Jets just feel like they're back in a full rebuild, which has kind of been the story every year for the last, I don't know, 6 to 8 years. So
Yeah.
maybe at some point they'll get something right, but at this moment in time, I've got no faith in the Jets to really do anything correctly.
Nope. Speaking of another team that does similar things, Arizona Cardinals go ahead and lose 20-40 to the Houston Texans. CJ Stroud looked incredible. That defense looked even better. The Arizona Cardinals looked even worse. Texans defense is the best in the league. No ifs, ands, or buts. And yeah, I fucking hate the Cardinals.
Hey, at least you got Trey McBride.
Yep.
Who,
that's like saying like your dog died. Yeah, your 13-year-old dog just died, and then someone walks up to you and said, "Well, at least you had 13 good years." Like, yeah, it's like having a fucking. It's literally the meme of having a Maserati in a fucking trailer park.
No. Because you have easily, I would say, undisputed at this point, the best tight end in the league.
Yeah.
On a rookie contract right now.
I think we just paid him.
Well, even better then, because then he should be around for at least a few more years. I think you sculpt and build this entire offense around Trey McBride, because regardless of who's at quarterback, regardless of how many injuries there are in the running back room, the wide receiver room, who's the guy who's going out there and just putting up crazy numbers every week? It's Trey McBride. And granted, a lot of this happening in, I would call, garbage time because the Texans were up by so much. But he doesn't have bad weeks. You get a good quarterback to throw him the ball, build up that offense over the next couple of years a little bit. Like, he's a piece you definitely want to build around. I mean, it's very reminiscent of like George Kittle, Travis Kelce of like 5 years ago, where you only need one really stud receiver if you got a guy like that. And then get a decent running back in there and then just have an okay offensive line. The offense will work because you can just force feed the ball to one specific guy. Tight ends create more matchup problems than any other position in football.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is there's usually not like a ton of like really, really elite tight ends.
Yeah.
McBride is definitely that. I would say in my head, obviously the number one tight end in the league, and he's still really young, but one of the probably 20 most valuable players to have on your team right now is a guy like Trey McBride. So there's not absolutely zero hope in Arizona. It's just like, you just got to acknowledge that it's a rebuild time. Cut Kyler Murray because nobody's going to trade for that contract. Get a new quarterback in, see what you can do with that. You've missed on a couple other picks, but there's a couple that are a little bit promising. So within a couple of years, I don't know, Cardinals might be not completely cooked. But on the flip side of it, Houston Texans. This is, in my opinion, the hottest team in the league right now. This is the team you least want to, and I know there's other really good teams. For me, throw out whatever happened the first half of the season. Houston is the team I would want to play the least in the playoffs right now because they have the number one defense in the league. CJ Stroud and this offense is starting to really, really fucking click again, like they did 2 years ago. Never really found that magic last year. Texans could be poised, especially with the Chiefs out of the picture. You don't have Joe Burrow and the Bengals in the picture. Start looking at the playoff picture, and you're like, oh, at the top we got Denver and New England. I'm probably licking my chops right now if I'm Houston, and they could win this division. They might not. They might go in as a wild card. I don't think they're scared of being a wild card. And I again, this is the team I would least want to play in the playoffs right now. And
I get it.
That'll change in a couple weeks, but right now, oh god, yeah, not the team I want to play.
Yeah, McCormick, save your money, buddy. Save your money. Next one on the slate, Noah, just go ahead and take it away. Packers, Broncos, RIP, Micah Parsons.
Oh god, you're gonna make me talk about this. I didn't really sign up to watch the Red Wedding this week. And this was like, the Red Wedding. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, obviously you get the reference. Otherwise, you're probably like, what the hell? Yeah, it's like the Red Wedding, but it's like your family and you just got sick and couldn't attend. And then you were on a Zoom call watching the whole thing go down and you just watched your entire family get murdered. That's what this game felt like. Yeah, not pretty. I mean, having a 23-14 lead and then losing Christian Watson, losing Zach Tom, losing Micah Parsons, losing Evan Williams. Not sure the extent of all of those injuries other than Micah Parsons will be out the season. Sounds like Watson has a chance to play this next week, so glad that wasn't a broken collarbone because that's what I wasn't even mad about the interception. I mean, great play by Surtain stealing that ball. First time I've seen somebody run with Christian Watson since he came back this year. I was like, oh, fuck, okay, yeah. Surtain's the real deal. Not that I was worried about that at all, but nobody runs with Christian Watson. I mean, that dude's super, super fast. But, oh, man, all these fucking injuries of key players. I was like, okay, fucking forget the loss that I was already pissed about. Like, can we just reverse time and just forfeit this fucking game? Because it's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal. And like I said, Watson's injury doesn't seem like that much. By the way, Cortland Sutton's touchdown catch and then his third down catch. I'm pretty sure the ball moved on contact with the ground on both of those, but that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to go into that can of worms. Was not thrilled with the refs. This was you did not want to be present in my household during this game, during the second half, because the combination of the way that the game was going with all the injuries, with some calls that I felt like were not appropriate, it was just ugly. And Denver finds another fucking way to win a game. And that's been the story of their season, is they just figure out, like they're winning, but I don't think anybody really has a lot of faith in Denver to do anything come playoff time. And I think people are just waiting for Denver to just lose and lose because they've been so unimpressive. If you actually watch them play, like Bo Nix is not that great. He still is not that great. Yet they keep winning games this year. It's a little bit weird, a little reminiscent of the Vikings about 3 years ago.
Yeah. When they did that Kirk Cousins run, it's like, it's going to come, and then it came
where you're like, how are you winning these games? And then, and then you lose at home to the Giants in the first round of the playoffs. It feels like it feels like their path to me. I could be wrong. Packers will be in the playoffs with either the NFC North win will feel like a likely scenario if they beat the Bears next week. If they lose the Bears, it's probably staring down a wild card seed and a 6 or 7 seed in the playoffs. But yeah, these injuries that the Packers had, like I said, Red Wedding, man, it was like everybody and key important players too, just going down left and right, and it was just so hard to watch because it's like not only are you blowing a 9-point lead in the second half, but you're also losing all of your most important players at the
Yeah.
same time. It was a brutal fucking game, and I wish I kind of blacked it out from my memory because I'm like, that didn't happen. That wasn't real. Like, if we just lost to the Broncos in Denver, I'd be like, okay, whatever, move on next week. That's fine. But this one was just it was tough. I mean, that stab wound went real deep in this, and not even a division or conference opponent. Like, shouldn't have been that bad, but it was.
I get it. It's bad. Next one on the slate, Noah, Detroit versus the Rams. Rams take away this one 41-34 with, I mean, just a complete game, Yes, the Detroit is going to get a couple of big plays on you. They have such an explosive offense. They're going to get a couple big ones off, and they're going to set themselves up to score. That is just what you can do. It's a very, in my opinion, bend, don't break situation when it comes to defense. And the defense definitely picked it up in the third quarter, able to shut them out in that one, let the offense get some, favorable position and score some points. And then it was just good sailing from there in most of the fourth and some garbage time points for the Lions trying to make it a game. But this Rams team, I've seen enough, brother. Like, let's get them to the NFC championship. This is, I would say, the best team in the NFL right now. And I understand the Texans are hot. I understand the Rams look good, but you look around the landscape at teams that just continue to play really good football consistently. It's the Los Angeles Rams. You got a two-headed monster back there with Kyren Williams and Blake Corum. Kyren Williams, Puka Nacua. I know Devontae Adams dislocated his shoulder and is going to be questionable for Thursday. Tutu Atwell's off of IR. I mean, things look to be going up for the Rams, Noah.
Yeah, I mean, great bounce back win for them after losing to Carolina.
Yeah.
It's the same thing we've been saying, AJ, since about week 8 of this season is when's the last time you remember an NFL season where it's been this wide open? There's not, and I think we've been saying it since about week 7, week 8. It's like there's not a single team that we feel is like super dominant or in control of everything. And then a couple weeks go by and the team looks real nice for a couple weeks. And it's like, oh, okay, yep. And there's been 3 or 4 of them where it's like, yeah, this team looks really damn good. And then they have a down week or two. And I think nothing's changed since, 2 months ago when we were talking about that for the first time. And yeah, the Rams look really nice, but I mean, I feel like there are some weaknesses, some chinks in the armor there that can be exposed. Not a lot of teams have had success doing it, but there have been a few teams that have had success doing that are not teams you really necessarily expected to give the Rams a hard time. The emergence of Blake Corum, I think, is going to be huge for them because, now it's not all Kyren Williams. Blake Corum's had a couple really damn good games in a row and not even getting the lion's share of the touches.
Yeah.
And still been very productive doing so. I think the blueprint for the Lions, if they end up making the playoffs, which is right now sitting at, I think, like 48% chance, given like FPI odds and everything, it's been set out there. It's been set out there. You shut down Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery in the run game, you beat the Lions. Packers have done it. Packers have done it twice. Jared Goff had a phenomenal fucking game here.
Oh, great game.
However, Gibbs and Montgomery got shut down by the Rams defense, and the Lions were playing catch-up all game. And that's what happens. You shut down their run game with the offense that they're running this year. You shut down the run game, and they're playing catch-up. They're playing from behind. Goff in most of those games has still had decent numbers, but they're passing the ball a lot,
Yeah.
trying to catch up. And I don't think this defense has the gall to keep them in it, like to come from behind, right? Like this defense
Yeah.
isn't great at forcing turnovers. They're not great at slowing down drives, forcing 3-and-outs. And so if you get ahead by a touchdown or two and you're playing in a track meet game with the Lions, next thing you know, you're up by 14 points going into the fourth quarter. And they've been really good at scoring garbage time touchdowns to make these games look closer on the box score, i.e., both of the Packers games
Yeah.
and now this Rams game. But at the end of the day, if you're good enough to shut down their run game or to slow down their run game, you're probably beating the Lions this year. And
Oh, for sure.
again, they've got a less than 50% chance to make the playoffs right now. If they do get in with a wild card, they're not a threat to me right now. They're not a threat
Yeah.
to me this season. They don't have the magic that they had the last season. And I know losing both coordinators hurts. This defense I didn't think was ever spectacular under Aaron Glenn, but I think it was better than they are now. And obviously Ben Johnson, a huge part of the success the last 2 years. They're still a really high-powered offense. They just have maybe gotten about 10 to 20% worse on both sides of the ball, which is why they're sitting outside of playoff position now, fighting for their life to get in.
Yeah. It's going to be a bumpy road for the Lions, that's for sure, as they try to figure everything out. Okay, let's go to the next game. Panthers, Saints. Saints come away with one after playing in many close games. They do squeak one out here against the Panthers, 20-17. Tyler Shuck, 24 for 32, 272, and 1 tutty on the day. Only took 5 sacks, which isn't too bad for Tyler Shuck and the way the Saints have been playing. So shout out to Tyler Shuck. Bryce Young, 15 for 24, 163 yards, 1 touchdown, 7 for 49 in the rushing game. I think with this win, Tyler Shuck has earned the right to compete for the job next year. I think that we have seen enough of this Saints team. Like this is, I would argue that it reminds me of the Denver team before they got Russell Wilson, where they were quote unquote a quarterback away. If they just had the guy, they could win those games. And they might have found a diamond in the rough here with Tyler Shuck. He's been decent for most of his starts as a rookie and everything, taking over for Spencer Rattler. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's going into training camp as the number one and competing for that starting job. Does he win it? Does he lose it? I think that's up for debate and seeing who they bring in, because they're going to be bringing in quarterbacks. No ifs, ands, buts about that. But, I think Tyler Shuck, it's not, a foregone conclusion that he's out.
Yeah, I mean, he's 3-3 as a starter.
That's great.
Yeah, Rattler was 1-7
this year. Yeah.
Yeah, the Saints. I mean, Rattler. Yeah, his one win, getting his first career win. But he's like what 1-18 career as a 1-17,
as a starter,
1-18, something like that. Shuck now 3-3 as a starter. You beat 2 division opponents who are both teams where you're not really fully confident what you're going to get any given week, but I think this game's a good example of something bigger with football at both the college and professional level right now. I know a lot of people were complaining about the Heisman and saying, "Oh, nobody nominated as a real Heisman candidate in most other years." I think this offensive renaissance that we've seen the last 10, 15 years, like both at the NFL and college level, I feel like it might be coming to an end, and we might be entering back into a defensive-heavy
run game.
Defensive-heavy, run-dominant.
Absolutely.
Like the best teams are the teams that can run the ball and play defense. And it feels like at both college and NFL this year, that's kind of been a big thing, right?
And I feel like we talked about this after the Eagles and Ohio State won. Natty and the Super Bowl respectively last year. Both teams with top defenses in the league, both games with top run games in the league, and they didn't really need to throw the ball much. Ohio State, yeah, they air it out more because that's just what Ohio State does. But and now we're seeing the problems with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts and everything like that. No, I couldn't agree with you more. I do think we are, we've been slowly moving back towards that realm of football.
Yeah, and the reason I bring that up with this game is Rico Dowdle, who has had a huge emergence this season, gets absolutely shut down in this game. Bryce
Yeah.
turned the ball over, didn't make a ton of mistakes, but the Panthers still lose, and it's because the Saints shut the damn run game down, and you don't even need to necessarily force too many turnovers. And they just played a solid game offensively, not a great game, still come out with a win here. And so we'll see what happens over the next couple of years, but it does feel like that offensive juggernaut renaissance that we've been in for 10 or 15 years now might be closed, and it might be a different style of winning football that's emerging here. We'll see what happens with the college football playoffs. We'll see what happens in the NFL playoffs, but feels a lot more like, yeah, if your quarterback goes out and throws for 14 for 18, 220, and one touchdown, that's enough to win a game if you got a good running team and a good defense and against the best teams. And I do think it's going to be interesting college football playoff wise. I think some of the top teams that we're going to see, and the two top teams in the country right now, Ohio State and Indiana, have dominated their schedules with dominant defense first. Both of them with really good running games, obviously great receivers at Ohio State, but they haven't been used all that much. I mean, Sayan didn't throw the ball.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. This was a critical game for the Panthers that they really needed to win. Would have gave them the upper hand in the division, and unfortunately, they knew that coming in, and they couldn't take care of business.
No.
So now that those two head-to-head games between Carolina and Tampa Bay are going to be all the more crucial.
Huge. They're going to be huge. Going to be great. Let's move on, Noah. Next game on the slate, Titans, 49ers. 49ers come away with this one 37-24. Brock Purdy, 22 for 30, 295, 3 touchdowns. The 49ers played great. Shout out to Tennessee for some garbage time, making it look closer than it appears. 49ers put belt to ass and did a very good job of it, both on all sides of the football. Still on the outside looking in as of right now in the NFC West playoffs, as we talked about earlier, but they've figured it out. Shanahan doing it again with little, but still making a little work a lot, being 10-4 on the year and kind of not really being talked about. Purdy being out, Mac Jones playing well, everyone kind of being next man up with all the injuries on offense. And the 49ers have been able to put together a hell of a season, and I think they're going to continue to. They'll should be in the wild card round. Maybe we'll see how everything plays out there. But
I find it, again, unless everything goes right for them, I don't think they win the NFC West. They should be playing on the road in wild card weekend.
I know. I'm just saying if it's the NFL, any given Sunday, who fucking knows what's going to happen?
Well, and again, if Seattle beats the Rams this week, definitely leaves that door open for San Francisco.
Exactly. And so a lot going on here, and a 49ers team that seems to be playing some damn good football at the right time.
Yeah, this is a well-oiled fucking machine here that Shanahan has built. And that's, since he's taken over as head coach, that's what it's been. It's plug and play, next man up. You have injuries. It doesn't really even matter. They've been, first half of the season, they were probably one of the most injured teams in the league. They've been, last year, the most injured team in the league. Obviously, last year didn't work out super well for them, but yeah, this is a dangerous team just because this system works so well. And John Lynch does an incredible job of just drafting guys that fit into the system. He's probably the best at drafting guys who are the best fit.
Yeah.
And yeah, this team's not going to be an easy out. I'm not going to say they're the biggest threat in the NFC, but they're going to be a team that's going to give you 60 minutes of competitive football, regardless of who you are.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Let's keep it moving, Noah. I would let's talk about it. Colts Seahawks. I would like to start by congratulating Philip Rivers, his family, and his children for having the NFL cover their insurance for another 5 years as he unretires, suits up, and put together a nice Philip Rivers stat line: 18 for 27, 120 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. About where I thought this was going to be. So shout out to Philip Rivers. Hell of a game for him. Sam Darnold played slightly better, 22 for 36, 271. No touchdowns, no interceptions. It was a pretty big field goal fest in this one for Seattle, not really able to get anything started offensively, not in the run game, not really in the pass game, even though JSN had a nice game for himself. But hey, Seattle finds a way to win. Yeah, the Colts don't have Daniel Jones anymore. They still have a damn good defense that's been playing well all season. And hey, they might get Philip Rivers to go ahead and lead them into a nice little playoff run here.
Yeah, I don't see that happening now.
Neither do I, but still, you might.
With them sitting now 2 games back from a wild card spot, it feels like it ain't gonna happen for the Colts. Rivers, congratulations, first grandfather to ever throw a touchdown pass in the NFL. So, there's that at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't look god awful.
He looked like he's been away from the NFL for 5 years.
He looks like he's 44 and doesn't have a lot of zip on his pass anymore. But the decision making was still fine. Basically feels like Ben Roethlisberger 2 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's like 6 years older than Roethlisberger was, so
makes sense. I mean, I have no problem with it.
He can't run. He's not going to get a lot of oomph on a deep ball. But all the little crossing routes, screen passes, all that type of stuff, yeah, he can hit those just fine. And he's an NFL quarterback. That's what I can give him. Threw a touchdown pass, but yeah, the Colts defense, very good example of bend don't break. Unfortunately, I think too many losses as of late. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to get a chance to put that on showcase. But the Colts do feel like they're in a good position going forward.
Yeah,
in the next couple of years. Unfortunately, after starting 7-1, it's just not going to happen this year.
No, unfortunately not. But
Seattle wins an ugly one, keeps pace with the Rams.
Gotta love it. Minnesota Vikings, Dallas Cowboys, Sunday Night Football. Vikings take this one 34-26. JJ McCarthy, 15 for 24, 252 touchdowns and an interception. Dak Prescott, 23, 38, 294. None and none for him. Vikings. I mean, hey, they played a pissing contest with the Cowboys. You think you have a high-powered offense? We think we have a high-powered offense. Let's go ahead and put these theories to the test and see who has a more high-powered offense. This may have been JJ McCarthy's best game so far this season, in my opinion. Played great late in the fourth quarter. Did what he needed to do to get over on this Dallas defense and sneak out a victory here. Does it really change my overall opinion on JJ McCarthy as of right now? No, still small sample size, I guess. But I still have a lot of question marks there. And, maybe Jordan Addison and, Justin Jefferson, a little bit happier here, but still, I think a couple of them might be asking on a way out soon.
Yeah, I got to imagine Justin Jefferson, based on his body language the whole last 4, 5, 6 weeks, he does have that C for captain on his jersey, and he has not been looking like it. It's not like he's throwing a tantrum or anything, but
no.
He's just looked checked out. Did fine in this game. JJ McCarthy, he's had 3 good games. Obviously, nobody's hyping him up more than they should be. Those 3 good games, 2 of them came against the Bears defense, which he actually looked terrible in the first half and just had a really good second half. So he's had about 6-7 quarters of really good football this year. um, in about as many starts. I thought it was really funny. There was the quarterback power rankings that ESPN put out, and Philip Rivers was at 31, right above J.J. McCarthy at 32. And after this week, I'm cool with it. We'll keep it there. But yeah, Vikings go ahead, get their second win in a row after a absolute beatdown at the hands of the Seahawks 2 weeks ago, and still get eliminated from playoff contention this week despite the win.
Yeah.
And at this point, I think you just try a bunch of things, see what works, and then Kevin O'Connell's probably the right guy to make the adjustments in the offseason to the playbook, to the play calling, to better fit JJ McCarthy. I think he'll have a better season next year. And the Vikings have this nice little last 3 weeks to just go into this experimental stage to just see what's going to work, what's not going to work. And they're a real wild card betting wise this last 3 weeks for me, because I do think the defense is okay. And I think they're going to try a bunch of things, which is why I think they're either going to look really good or really terrible, and that could flip between games. So they're going to be a really tough team to bet on here down the stretch.
That they will be, Noah. Let's go to Monday Night Football. Dolphins, Steelers. Dolphins take another loss in the cold, 15-28. They even got there early and practiced in the snow, Noah. They even got there early. Aaron Rodgers went 23 for 27, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Taking 3 sacks on the night, though. Tua, 22 for 28, 253, 2 touchdowns, and interception. I mean, can we... I understand the conversation's been around for a while, and his record playing in the cold isn't very well, but I'm kind of okay and ready to put to rest the Tua can't play in cold weather conversation, because I mean, you look at that stat line, you look at how he didn't play god awful. He played pretty well. The defense just couldn't.
Yeah, I would say didn't look great, but that's kind of hard to blame the cold weather because he doesn't look great indoors or in warm weather either.
Yeah, he's not a visually appealing quarterback. I don't know if it's because he's a lefty or what, but it's I think I'm ready to put that one to rest. Aaron Rodgers and that offense just suddenly clicked after the second quarter and was firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. What? Dolphins came out and said today they are exploring the option of making a quarterback change, now officially eliminated from the playoffs after this loss. Whether that's Zach Wilson or Quinn Ewers, I don't know. If it's me, I know we're both big fans of Zach Wilson and loved him in college. Thought maybe he should have gotten. He did get a second chance briefly, but I think he does deserve another chance at some point. If I'm the Dolphins, if I am making a quarterback change here the last 3 weeks of the season, season shot, I think I throw in Quinn Ewers and just see what he can do. Give Ewers 3 starts, let him open it up, see what you got in him, and if it's something you don't like, then he was a late round draft pick. You're not out anything. If it looks promising, then maybe there's a quarterback battle going into next season. So that's kind of what I expect out of the Dolphins. I don't know, because if they do trot out Zach Wilson, I think, what's the point?
Yeah.
Right? You're already eliminated from the playoffs, so if you're hinting at making a quarterback change here, I imagine it's got to be you're throwing Ewers in for a couple starts here at the end of the season just to see what he can do.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's the Dolphins. They're going to do whatever they can. Everything's been kind of stale for them the last couple of years. They've been having some good good moments here and there, but nothing that's really constituted anyone keeping their job, in my opinion.
I think the 4 straight wins kept Mike McDaniel's job.
Oh, for sure.
He'll be on the hot seat going into next season, but I don't think he gets fired like we originally thought he would.
No. Those 4 definitely help. But, the Dolphins are in a bad place. I don't know if another rebuilds. I think they need to clean house, get rid of Tyreek, get rid of Tua. Let's start from scratch and get it going from there.
Well,
And I think regardless of if they get rid
they're
of
paying
Tua or
Tua
not, I think
45.
Tyreek Hill is gone.
They're paying Tua 45 a year. I mean, at this point, just get
Yeah,
rid
the
of
Cardinals
Tua.
are paying. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
it's the same. It's almost an identical boat that the Cardinals are in. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to trade for Tua because of his contract. So Cardinals, Dolphins, it's the same boat. You're getting no trade value because nobody wants them. Nobody's going to touch them in a trade. They're not going to give you anything because they don't want the contract. So at this point, you just save the cap space, you cut them, and move on from there. Like I said, Dolphins have an opportunity here. It would be, to me, really weird if they do go with Zach Wilson because, like, why? What's the point? I think you got your rookie in Quinn Ewers, a guy who's played in important games in college, a guy who's been really good in college, and you give him a spin for 3 games and just see what you got with it. And that tells you whether or not you need to draft a rookie quarterback in the draft or whether or not you don't.
I agree. We'll see if any of those ownerships are smart enough to do it, though, Noah, because they have proven time and time again to not be. But we'll have to wait and see. But you got anything else in NFL before we call tonight?
No, not on NFL. Hey, nice field goal by Troy there to take the
Yeah,
lead.
very
Troy
nice.
money line, baby. Let's go wild. And then, hey, bear down, go Cats.
Bear down, go Cats. Well, that's all I got too. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Shout out to everyone here on Rumble, over on YouTube and X. Y'all are the best. If you like what we're cooking, please hit those like buttons. Hit the follow button. Does help us out a lot more than you know. With all of that, though, I'm the Brofict one AJ. That's the Money Train Noah. We'll see you next time on Degenerate Takes.